do you feel that animals are not aware of the things that humans are aware of, so that they're not going to have bad feelings? So are they protected from, for instance, you said that some animals could kill if they need to, but they don't harbor any fear or revenge afterward.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's a big difference between human beings and animals.
Yes, I don't think that that animals have a sense of revenge. So that prey animals, for example, they're in a herd, and lions attack the herd, and they kill an antelope, and they eat the antelope. The other antelopes don't say, "We got to get even and kill those lions," you know. And I think that's a uniquely human experience.
Well, that was rather distressing because I think you might be right. And you've tied the revenge to power, pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
and to language,
Mm-hmm.
which is so central to the human experience.
Yes.
Can you talk about language as being part of our burden?
Okay, so our bodies are hominid bodies, and the from the neck down, our bodies are far older than our brains, and our brains probably emerged in Africa in hominid bodies 150,000 years ago, and this is a accepted guesstimate among anthropologists. So, but one question I had was, well, if you had human brains born to hominids that didn't have human brains, then they wouldn't have had a sophisticated language. How did the humans develop the sophisticated language that we now have?
So this is the question you're asking.
Yeah,
but it's an obvious question, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And so I have a chapter where I talk about the human experience for the first 100,000 years, from the time the first humans were born until they encountered the Neanderthals. And I suggest that in that whole period, what they had was animal communication with grunts and gestures and growls and maybe laughter, but a sophisticated syntax had to be developed. And I say that to develop a sophisticated syntax, you have to have a highly stressful, tense situation that makes you make that effort, because nobody wants to make such a huge intellectual effort unless there's a reason to do so. And so I suggest that when the first humans who left Africa and went into Europe encountered the Neanderthals there, that there was such a clash of cultures that the human beings became enraged by the abuse that the Neanderthals put on them, and began talking about revenge, and began talking about what they can do with this problem. And I point out that according to Aristotle, the purpose of language is to talk about justice. And I say that Aristotle was using his empathy to understand the orientation of human language. And so I trace that back, trace that intention back to the time of the human encounter with Neanderthals. And I say that they started talking about justice, justice as revenge, justice as getting even, justice as punishment. And under those conditions, they developed the syntax and the complex language that stayed with humans and that we now have today in world culture.
So you're referring to a justice that some of us might consider a bit primitive.
Yeah.
It's not the justice that we are now hoping for on the planet.
Well, the justice that we have, like in our criminal justice system, is pretty much the same thing. We're getting even with the criminals by punishing them.
Kind of eye for eye.
Exactly, eye for eye. Yeah.
So that is embedded, though, in the way our language works.
Yes, it's in the way the language works, and it's not. I don't think that it's a genetic response. It's a part of human culture.
So it's passed on.
It's passed on from 25,000 years ago when the humans executed a genocide against the Neanderthals in Europe.
That genocide also, you've described a shift in the emphasis from the right brain to the left, or am I reversing it now?
Oh yeah, that's.
Is that part of?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a major shift.
Because that would be a shift to language then.
Yes, yeah, because again, based on empathy, understanding people, that the right brain is more poetic, more image oriented, icon oriented, you know, and I suggest the animal brain functions the same way in imagery and not in analysis or language and mathematics.
Yeah, my dog sees the dog dish in his head.
Yeah, all right, and maybe dreams about it too.
No, he dreams about me.
Oh, all right. And so, in the course of the genocide of Neanderthals, people, like I said, you have to make the strong effort to go from a no language to a language based on a complex syntax, and so they made the mental effort, and in the process shifted the use of their brains from the right side, which is what they learned in their animal culture for 100,000 years, and over to the left side, which is more planning and language based and focused on power. How can we get those guys, you know? And prior to that time, people weren't thinking about getting guys, you know. They were thinking about dealing with their human birth defect. And so, in the course of the genocide, which was the greatest shift in world culture that's ever occurred, they shifted to language and to the left brain and to analysis, and also they discovered the joy of killing and the joy of conquest, and so that basically those things came together and became the beginning of what we know as human culture or world culture today. And so it spread out all over the world, and people learned the joy of conquest, and we have wars.
Oh my God. Well, to kill someone, you'd have to have a list that would be a verbal list of why they deserve to be killed. They're this, they're that, they're not me, they've done this. So you would have to have all these concepts about the person.
Yeah.
Not that he's a human being. That would not be on the list.
Well,
because I would feel separate from that person or that group that
yes.
I've written off as being worthy of being killed.
Yeah, I think certainly in the use of empathy, you must understand that another person is human like you, and I think that in the course of empathizing with another person, you understand their uniqueness, and you understand their value, and that they deserve your respect, and you're trying to, when you make an effort to understand somebody, you respect them. So I think that in a way, just by using empathy as a method for understanding people, you're also starting to correct the kind of thinking that wars are based on, which is to dehumanize other people, and to enjoy the power of killing and the power of conquest, of triumph.